Hey guys, it's Katie, Girl About Library, and I'm here today with a book haul that is slightly out of my comfort zone, and I'm really excited about it. But this past weekend, I went to Texas Teen Book Fest in Austin, and it was amazing. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. A great time. But while I was there and I was listening to all of the authors talk, I realized I don't know any of these people. Not only do I not know those authors, I haven't read their works, I also don't know a lot of the characters that they're referencing, whether they're in their books or someone else's books, and there's a good reason for that. I do read YA occasionally and talk about it on this channel, but there's a whole gap in my YA fantasy especially knowledge, and so we're fixing that. I asked Hannah and Rhiannon to recommend some books to me. I will link their channels down below, and they were a huge help. I don't know what I'm doing. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the books that I got. Here we go. We're gonna start with some slightly lesser known books and work our way into the ultimate of hype. But the first book is gonna be Enchantee by Gita Trelease. Enchantee? Enchantee. I feel like the candlestick in Beauty and the Beast. This book is historical fiction and fantasy together. And that's a lot. I love historical fiction and I read it all the time. And I can't remember the last time, besides The Book Thief, that I've read historical fiction YA. So I'm very excited about that. I'm a little unsure about the fantasy, but we're willing to give it a try. It's set in the late 1700s. It follows a character named Camille. Camille's parents die of smallpox, and she is responsible for taking care of her younger sister. And she also has an older brother. He sounds like kind of a disaster. He's described as being volatile. Fun. Camille first uses magic to try and transform scraps of metal into money, and uses that to buy the food and medicine that they need. But I guess that magic stops working, and so she decides instead to transform herself into a baroness and work her way into the royal court. I am intrigued. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about the magic system because I need an explanation for why she could transform metal into money, why that stopped working, and then how did she transform herself into a baroness? Just the way that she looks? How does that work? I have a hard time suspending disbelief, and broken magic systems are my triggers. I can't. So keep an eye out for a review. I will let you know what I think of that. I also picked up an arc of Sadie by Courtney Summers. This book sounds really interesting. It's another arc I picked up at Texas Teen Book Fest. This is an arc from Wednesday Books, so thank you Wednesday. And I love thrillers. So the last YA thriller I read was, I guess it was a thriller, kind of like thriller mystery, was One of Us is Lying, and I really liked it. This book follows Sadie, a teenage girl. She is responsible for her younger sister, but one day her younger sister is found murdered. And so there is this big police investigation that just gets completely botched, and Sadie decides that she is going to start trying to help the investigation herself. She meets a man who ends up starting a podcast that kind of tracks his assistance with Sadie to try to figure out who murdered her sister. This book has such good reviews so far. It has a 4.3 on Goodreads, and so I'm excited. I will let you guys know what I think about this one. After we left Texas Teen Book Fest, we made 2 stops. The first one was to Recycled Reads, and I picked up 2 young adult books while I was there. The first is Bone Gap by Laura Ruby. This was 50 cents at Recycled Reads in Austin. If you are ever in town, I highly recommend that bookshop. They have such good deals. This is one I picked up because I've seen several booktubers who I watch for their adult fiction content review this and enjoy it. I don't like magical realism all the time, but I like it some of the time. But I do like books that have crossover appeal, like books that adult fiction readers and YA fiction readers enjoy, and so I'm excited to give this one a try. While we were there, I also picked up SCYTHE again for 50 cents. This is by Neil Schusterman, who is one of the authors who was at the book festival that we attended that I have never read a single book by. I have trouble suspending disbelief for fantasy, sometimes, but I don't for apocalypse stuff, which is kind of weird. So in this book, humanity has conquered all of the things that are bad, I guess. No disease, war, nope. Misery, nope. Hunger, no. Also death. There's no death. Now there's only scythes, and scythes decide who, I don't know if they decide, but like they're the ones who do the killing. And so when someone dies, it's because they've been killed by a scythe. And the two characters in this book, Citra and Rowan, become scythe apprentices. And so I don't know what happens after that, but I'm interested in trying YA apocalyptic fiction because I can suspend disbelief for that pretty well. And so we'll see how this goes. So on to the hype and the book that I'm most excited about. And that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This book is sponsored by Hannah. I mentioned to her that I wanted to do this video, and next thing I knew, she had gone and purchased this for me. So thank you so much, Hannah. That was incredibly sweet of you. You guys love this book. You guys love this book so much, and I'm like nervous to read it, but I'm also really excited to find out what the fuck you guys have been talking about for the last, like literally since I started watching BookTube again. Like this book has been everywhere. I am really excited to give this one a try and find out what the deal is. It gets talked about a lot, it gets compared to a lot, and I want to get the jokes. I want to understand what everyone's talking about, and I feel like this is the best part of this. I'm excited, but I'm anxious. I'll let you know. Okay. Also hype, very hype, very, very, very hype is The Raven Boys, and I'm gonna read it by Maggie Stiefvater. The characters in the front of this book look like Sims characters. Right? Doesn't that look like... I don't know what's going on with that, but this is absolutely just like FOMO. I need to know. And kind of like part investigative. I'm basically like gonna be the next Shane Dawson, just going behind the scenes, getting the scoop. Why does everyone love this so much? I need to know. The thing about YA fantasy and like young adult novels is that when I don't like them, when they're popular, I can usually see like the reason why people like them, and I guess I'm really, really curious. I feel like I've like unofficially created a challenge for myself to read all of these like popular YA fantasy novels, and I'm excited about it, and this is definitely like one you gotta read if you're doing that. Another book you have to read if you're doing like the YA fantasy rounds is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I realize this is actually like adult fiction, fantasy fiction, but I hear a lot of YA booktubers talk about it, so it's on the list. And this has been on my TBR list for a while, and so I'm very excited. I think this is probably, I don't know, I'm pretty excited for Six of Crows, but like, this is up there. I watched a video that Books in 5 made about this book. I'll link it down below. She adds illustrations to her videos, and it was super cool and got me even more excited to read the book. I had read a book by Victoria Schwab, because that's who this is. I read The Savage Song, and I gave it 2 stars. But adult readers and YA readers like this, so I feel like that's more likely to be something that I enjoy, and I'm excited to give it a shot. One thing for sure, just reading like the back summary of this, I'm going to have a sticky note that has like each of the different Londons and their like color and magic system and like what they mean, because this is like a lot for my brain. Almost forgot one. Okay, it's kind of a funny story by Ned Vizzini. I also picked this up. I wanted to read this for literally almost a decade. I think the movie has been out for almost 10 years. I have wanted to read this book. It is about an ambitious teenager named Craig. He's like an overachiever, just like works really, really hard to the point that he makes himself sick. I guess he like stops eating and stops sleeping, and then one night it like comes to a head and he attempts suicide. That suicidal episode gets him checked into a mental hospital, and while he's there, between the doctors and like the other people he meets on the floor, he's able to kind of hopefully come to find a way to be himself, but in a healthier way. I'm predicting 4 or 5 stars for this. Like, just reading the back of this book, I'm like, I am going to like this. Alright guys, that is it. That is my YA super hyped book haul. Comment down below and let me know what books you think I need to read if I'm trying to do this like YA super hyped book challenge for myself. It could be fantasy or it can just be like young adult fiction. What books do you feel like everyone has read, everyone talks about, and you need to read them too if you want to be like in the loop? Also, let me know if you have read those books yet and what you thought of them. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more bookish content. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.